Hey guys, apparently I'm live and I'm trying to get things turned around here. Okay. All right, so I got this new tool, so hopefully these live videos. I wanted to kind of get on here and show you how I'm making spaghetti sauce tonight. I always have those moments where I have, I gotta figure out what to make for dinner. And then all of a sudden I realize I don't have spaghetti sauce. So I tend to mix my ragu and my Prego traditional sauces. I like the mixture of the two. So if I'm in a rush and I have them on hand, that's what I usually do for my spaghetti for at home. But when I have the time, I like to make my own. So I have had the time today. So I went ahead and I roasted some yummy tomatoes and garlic, an entire head of it. I roasted it in the air fryer and it is so good and it smells delicious. I'd show you, but the pan's hot. But anyway, so I'm going to get this going, okay? So my spaghetti sauce is pretty easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this pan going and get it nice and warm. I'm using the Pampered Chef cast iron skillet. I'm just gonna put a little bit of oil in here and I'm gonna let it start to get warm. And I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna use my fancy chopper for the onions. So I'm just gonna kind of get it going. Okay. Now, one thing I want to make sure most people don't realize is when you get the chopper, this piece right here is an important piece. I know a lot of people have actually thrown it away. It's not meant for that. You're supposed to keep it. And you keep it on here. It keeps things from getting stuck in the blade. And then that way it makes it easier to chop and get a much better and even distribution of the onions. So then I'll chop it up and get it to look like this. It's kind of bright, but it'll like nice and even through there. And you can just put it right into the skillet. Okay. I'm gonna get that going. I'm gonna add a little bit more because I like a little bit more onion. I'm gonna put this back on here. Stick that there. Now I like to use this, but I also like to joke around saying that this tool was made for those to get their aggression out. If you're feeling a little frustrated that day, this is an amazing tool to use because you can just take your aggression out on the onions, which they do that anyway, right? They make you cry, so this is a way of getting them back for it. Okay, so I'm going to kind of mix this around, get it all even throughout my pan. I want it to stay nice and even throughout the pan because I like to make sure that they're all kind of starting to become translucent all at the same time. That way it doesn't, that way I have all of them done at the same time, so when I start to add other things, it isn't that big of a deal because they're all cooked evenly. 1 second. Okay. All right, so I'm letting that cook down. Now, spaghetti is one of my family's favorite meals. It's quick, it's easy, but it's also delicious. And it's funny because I've been seeing this really weird post on Facebook, and I don't know if all of you have seen it, but it's asking whether you should put sugar in your spaghetti. I have never heard of that. Now, I put it in my sauce just a little bit, not a whole lot, but enough to kind of give that little sweetness to the sauce. However, I have never put sugar on my actual spaghetti. Like, that kind of is kind of weird to me. So, I don't know where that came from. So, I would love to know what your guys' opinion is on that. Because it would just be interesting if people actually do put sugar on their spaghetti. Because I don't. And I just would like to know if some people do and why. Because I've never heard of that. This is the first time I've heard of it. So I would love to hear everyone's opinions on it. It sounds strange to me, but hey, not putting it on there might sound strange to others. Okay. So these are getting to look really good and translucent. So I'm going to go ahead and add these gorgeous roasted tomatoes. And I did them in my air fryer because right now it's summertime. And it's hot out there, especially here in Oklahoma. So I just went ahead and did it in my air fryer. Didn't have to turn on my stove or my oven and heat up my house super bad. Because, you know, it costs a fortune to keep this house cool. Okay, so got those in there. Now I have a secret ingredient that I put in at this point, along with my tomatoes and my onions, and it is just a little bit of wine. And the wine I use is a buttery white wine. I like the flavor used, and I love to add it in now so that it can cook down and get really juicy. Okay, so I'm also gonna whip out one of my other favorite tools, and that is the mix and chop. If you don't have a mix and chop, this is a must in every kitchen. It's one of our top sellers, but it's also one of my most used products. I use it on a daily basis for many, many things. Ground beef, making strawberries for strawberry shortcake, mashed potatoes, all kinds of things. If you need it smashed up, this is the perfect thing. I do also use it to shred chicken. So if I've let chicken or roast cook all day and I want to make shredded barbecue sandwiches or shredded chicken for tacos, any of that, I use this actually to shred it. It's easier for me. I personally love it. It's easy for my kids to use it. They understand it easier than other tools. And so this is just an amazing tool for everybody in the house. So I'm going to go ahead and use that and kind of start mashing things around a bit. Now again, I'm getting all these things in here and building up flavors because I'm going to let it simmer for at least 30 minutes so that the sauce gets really good and developed, because, I mean, having a good spaghetti sauce makes or breaks the dish. I mean, a well-cooked pasta does the same thing, but if you have a well-cooked pasta and you don't have a good sauce on your pasta, then you're just in trouble. Okay. So, as this cooks down a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and add the, oh, I can hold it now. Okay, I roasted my garlic too. Once you've roasted, so when I do it, I cut the tips of the head of the garlic, entire head of it, and then I just cook it and roast it whole inside all the shell. Then once it's cooked, you can push it out. I should have showed you, but I forgot. Okay, so I'm going to put that whole pieces in there, because remember, with the mix and chop, you're going to crush it, okay? So this is going to allow the sauce to get super in there and cook down with this yummy stuff. Well, come say hi. This is Shay. There she is. Okay. So we're just going to let this cook down just a teeny tiny bit. Now, I don't usually add the sugar until the very, like, once I've added the other things to my sauce, closer to the end of most of it, just because I don't really want it becoming caramelized in there. Okay, so I am going to add a little bit more of another ingredient. So with my roasting, I did salt, pepper, the garlic infused oil from Pampered Chef. Of course, you know, I love garlic, if you can't tell. And then I also used the Pampered Chef Italian seasoning as well. When I just added in here is a little bit of the sweet basil, okay? Now, I grow fresh basil, so we will be topping our spaghetti with that as well, but that's freshly chopped. I do not like adding fresh basil to anything. And from what I understand, fresh basil can become bitter once you've cooked it, once it's been fresh like that. So I don't. I just put it freshly on top as a little garnish. Okay. So I'm going to bring my mix and chop over here. I'm going to start chopping up this garlic. Get it good and chopped up in there. See how it just breaks up? Like, I love this tool. And I love cast iron skillet. So, you know, we're in a win-win situation right now. Okay. Keep on going.
Here.
Yeah, put it down. Okay. Okay, so one thing you definitely want to make sure you're being careful of, you do not want garlic to get burnt, because that is another thing that will become bitter if you let it get burnt. You want it to cook down and really infuse in your food, but you do not want it to burn, because it does. It becomes bitter. Okay.
Mommy, I accidentally splashed on me.
Yeah. You gotta be careful, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's gonna burn.
So on top of this, to just add a little, I did have this in my pantry. I don't usually have this, but I do have it as a base for sauces. I never just use this. I know some people do, but I don't prefer it. And I think it's because it's in a can, so it kind of has that can flavor. So that's mostly why I use this as kind of a adding to this, because this all gives it that freshness. These tomatoes are from our garden, so they're really going to give that nice fresh taste to it. But I also add this and I let it cook down for at least 30 minutes to get the canned flavor out of here. And I'm going to show you, I don't know, can you see? Let me see if I can adjust it a little bit so you can see me using the, okay. All right. Oh, sorry guys, I don't know what I did. I think I hit a button. Okay, so I am going to just latch this on here. Got this. Now this is one of those tools you'll have to practice a little bit. It took some practice to really get it. So as soon as I would touch it and get it on there, my husband is still practicing and getting used to it. Okay, so I'm going to add this to here.
Can I mix it, Mama?
Can you be very, very careful? Okay, I'm going to turn it on to medium heat. That way, it can just simmer for the next 30 minutes. Don't spill out of there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's at this point that I'm just going to add, I don't really measure, I just kind of add a little bit. I do 2 pinches. I don't do more than that because I don't want it overly sweet. I literally just want it for that like slight extra flavor. I'm just going to add a little bit of the salt. And I've already put enough pepper. I'm not going to add more pepper when I did the roasting. So,
It
okay.
smells really good.
Does smell good, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I am just going to let this cook for 30 minutes. Oops, I'm making a mess. Doing exactly what I told you not to do. Okay, so make sure you guys are just having fun with it. Cooking can be so much fun. We all do things slightly different. And that's what's kind of just fun about it. But I love good food. And so I have tried my best to kind of take what I have in my pantry and just try to elevate it and make it better. I do watch a lot of Chopped. So I kind of get inspiration from that on making things out of things that I just already have. So get excited, enjoy the kitchen, get your kids in there. They love good food too. And it's really fun if you have a garden. Oh, cooking with fresh food is just so good. So learning how to do that is truly amazing. And I roasted our fresh tomatoes from our garden, and it just tastes so much better than store-bought tomatoes. I can't even explain it. If you're not a tomato lover, I'm sorry. But I absolutely love fresh homegrown tomatoes. All right, guys, so I'm letting this cook for another 30 minutes. Have fun with it. I hope that if you do try the recipe that you like it. I literally did 4 tomatoes and 1 whole garlic cut to where I could roast it. I roasted it in the air fryer for 10 minutes at 350 degrees. Turned out perfect. And then what I ended up doing is I ended up sauteing the onions. It was a giant onion, so it'd probably be 2 regular size onions. But I sauteed them in the olive oil. And once those were sauteed and translucent, I added 4 tomatoes that I had roasted in the air fryer. Cooked those down a little bit, added probably about a 1/4 cup of wine. I just like the added flavor. You do not have to add that if you don't like it. But of course you are cooking all of the alcohol and stuff out. So it really just, all the base of that is just gonna add extra delicious flavor to that. The other thing is that I put an entire head of garlic in here, the roasted one. And so it was able to kind of just cook down in here really good. And then of course I did the 1 can of the Hunt's tomato sauce. And now I'm gonna just let it cook away. So have a great day, guys. I so love just kind of showing you what we do here at the house. This was my, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do for dinner, last minute kind of thing. So this is kind of just typical and normal for our household. So have an amazing night, guys. If you would like to order, I will have a link provided for you. And just have a great day.